Hi, I'm Dave Worzel, and you're watching PHTV4. This is Behind the Scenes, and today on Behind the Scenes, we are talking with City Clerk for the City of Palos, Shannon Harvey. Shannon, thank you for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
And saying behind the scenes is a little bit misleading, I think, because anybody who's seen a city council meeting has seen you on camera a lot, and also has heard your voice a lot too, as you go through the role for a variety of causes. So,
Right. Yeah, I get that a lot from people. I saw you on PHTV4 every week. I have friends that call and say, like your top, and I don't think about it when I'm up there, but you guys are so great. I think you guys are the gem of Palos Heights. I mentioned at a meeting that I was at a big conference. There was maybe over 100 people there, and it was, there was only one media outlet there, and it was you guys.
Oh,
and
right.
It was so important because there was young girls there. It was talking about women in government. And
I remember the event at Moraine Valley.
At Moraine Valley.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there, and I was so proud to be a Palos Heights resident, having you all there when there was multiple municipalities, and we showed up.
Wow.
So thank you guys,
Well,
because
thank you.
this is great.
We'll try and live up to that.
Oh,
No
yeah.
pressure. No pressure. We can do it. So I want to ask. We know you as a city clerk. We see you sit at that desk and table, but maybe we can get a chance to meet you a little bit more, like what that job is like. And that's like a part-time job for you. You also have a full-time job. You're a lawyer. You practice law. So maybe we'll talk about the city clerk job. But how about your background? How did you get into law? How long have you been a lawyer? What type of law?
Sure. So, yes, that is my day job, as I call it. My favorite job, though, is being the mom to my daughter, Tess.
It's a good job.
And it is great. It is my favorite. I would be remiss not to mention that. So I kind of always, pretty much through like my teen years, kind of figured I would be going into the law area. I liked government. I went to Mother Macaulay, and when I graduated at the turn of the century, if I'm aging myself, class of 2000.
I was going to say, turn of the century, that means you're like 30.
Oh, a very young 30-ish. But I went out to George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I had no other plans to go anywhere else. I loved the government and politics, and going out there, and I figured it would be a good legal base too. I lived there in Washington, D.C. from 2000 to 2004. It was actually a very big time in history. There was both the 2000 election where there was, I'm not sure if people remember, the hanging chads,
Yeah.
and being right there. I worked on Capitol Hill. I lived 2 blocks from the White House and a block from the State Department during September 11th. Saw the country change. Actually was working on Capitol Hill and had to stop my internship because of the anthrax scare. But I saw so much. I saw so much history. I saw so much government. I loved everything about it. But I loved my family more, and I knew I was going to come home right after from DC. So I came back and started Loyola Law School right after school. I followed the footsteps of my brother. And so I started working there, or going to school at Loyola. Worked for the Cook County State's Attorney's Office in the early, during law school, and then entered private practice upon graduation. And I've been at my firm, Tressler, since then, almost 20 years, which is scary to say.
Wow.
But when kids and people ask me what I do, I explain that I'm a litigation attorney. I'm a trial attorney. I go into court. I'm arguing on behalf of my clients. The world has changed in the law field too. Has been with COVID, it has changed. I'm very grateful, one, that I have the opportunity for where I work, that the flexibility has allowed. I know not everyone has that, but it's allowed me to continue my job full time, be present with my daughter, and then involve myself in extra stuff in the community, like here being the city clerk. And so that's what it's got. That's where I've been today. And I also think it's important to give back in any way you can. Mm-hmm. And I love being involved in working with different charities. And Lori Children's Hospital I hold dear to my heart. I serve on the Children's Research Fund there. It's a shame, the lack of funding that is given to pediatric cancer research. It's necessary that people from the outside donors come in, and so Lori Children's has helped my family in multiple ways, my friends' families in multiple ways, and so that's been a great part of my life the last 5 years to be a part of. So
you have a lot going on, and that's an amazing journey. I mean, it sounds like you said you were in D.C., the epicenter at a critical moments in history, in U.S. history, modern history, and then the path to practicing law back to Palos Heights, your native roots. Thank you for coming back.
Oh, I love it.
Good to have you back as a city clerk.
Right. Oh, I love it. It's a great place to, my husband Pat and I, before Tess was born, we bought our home. We wanted to be here. We knew it was a great community. We knew that there were multiple schools once we had a family to send our kids to that were all wonderful. And so it's been a wonderful place, especially to raise a child.
How about, so let's get to the culminating part of that journey. You mentioned you practice law, and your mother, as a mother, that's your other full-time job. City clerk, what does that job look for? Like we see you, at city council meetings. How would you describe your job on a typical basis? What does it look like?
So I would say the main part of being the city clerk is being the recorder of what is going on. What is the information being discussed at these meetings, and how are we historically keeping them? I have to mention that Jan, that a lot of our residents here will meet her over the time. She's the deputy clerk here, and I couldn't do my job without her. She's absolutely amazing. There's a lot of different facets to the city clerk job. One is the recorder of the minutes. We also issue business license and different types of permits when it's election time. There's different rules. We work with the Illinois and Cook County Board of Elections to get all that ready. But a typical day, the heavy part of being city clerk would be attending the meetings, and then we have to record them. And that means like creating the meeting minutes that are kept then in the history of the city council. I'm learning that that's really important because over time, the city councils change. Mm-hmm. And so a motion about a different, maybe initiative by a city council 15 years ago that didn't pass might come back up with new elected officials. And what's been great is we could go back to those minutes that were recorded 10, 15 years ago and say, okay, we like this now. Why didn't they like it then? Mm-hmm. And so that's super important to have. Yes, it's required by law that we do all of this, but in practice, that's what makes it really important. And I've already seen it in my time here being city clerk. But I think it keeps me busy. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way that I can serve the people of Palos. And one of the big resources I feel like I can be is because I attend these meetings, I know what's going on. Yeah. And I see a lot of my friends and people in the neighborhood that have questions of what's going on there and what's going on there. And, it would take them the time and effort, which not everyone has, mm-hmm. to go and look and say, okay, I want to go watch a recording or go look up the meeting minutes, which is all available to the public. However, I could just pick up the phone and call them and explain what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so being a resource as to what is actually happening in the city has been my favorite part because it's given me the opportunity to meet and talk to new residents.
I would agree. For me, I had that same experience. I've watched way more city council meetings the last several years than I was prior to Channel 4. And you learn what's going on and you understand the issues they're facing and how they're trying to address them or where we're headed. I think you made a couple interesting points that I want to especially call attention to that seem so critical in your job, if you want to speak. One is the element of historical accuracy. You're creating historical documents that may be called on for some reason. So there's this historical record and then that other part of it, and it needs to be exactly accurate. Mm-hmm. Who said what or why or when was.
Who voted what way.
Yeah.
It's important. And I'm also like looking at where I'm at in the job. There's wonderful city clerks around town, around the area too, that I've created and formed relationships with. We'll call each other and talk about different initiatives that we're taking. One big initiative I'm looking at here in Palos is kind of getting with the time as far as technology. because I am handwriting the notes, and we are, doing it very manually. And there are now ways that we can do that more using the technology available that continues to, will maintain the accuracy of the records, but it also will open up time for employees that help on these and helping with these different meetings, because it's not just the city council meetings that we have to record. We have to be at every committee meeting. And so we have employees that will help when there's double meetings showing up to take those. Right. And then during work, they're recording their minute, putting the minutes into the record. And there's ways that we can cut back on that time now that will then open up their resources here to do other jobs here in Palos and hopefully save some taxpayers some money.
Good. A great idea. And also an excellent point. City council twice a month. However, there's committee meetings all the time.
Every week we have meetings here in Palos, whether it be the committees that the aldermen are on. We have 8 different committees: public safety, water, sewer, to name a few. We need people to record meetings over at the pension boards for the police department. So there's lots of different meetings. Sometimes we have committee of the whole meetings that are randomly called. So,
are there certain times of the year when you think about your role as a mother, a lawyer, and a city clerk? Are there certain times of the year that like crunch times, like this is a really rough time, or is it kind of a steady, flow?
Well, I think as far as the role of city clerk, I think when the election time comes around, there's more to do. It's more consistent. We have a calendar. We're required by law to post the meetings in December of the prior year. So the first week of December, I had already announced the meetings for the following year. So we know and calendar that, and so I'm aware of my schedule when it comes to the city council. Then we need to get those meetings back before the city council to approve. Right. So I need to, once that meeting's done, then I take the time to re-listen to the meeting, record the minutes, and then have them ready for the next meeting to approve, and that goes for the committee as well.
Wow.
But it's fine. You figure it out. I mean, flexibility is huge today. We're very lucky. Anyone in the workforce that has the ability to have flexibility, you make it work.
Critical skills. Yeah. Those are all the easy questions.
Oh, great.
You ready for the real questions?
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to get serious here. All right, get ready. First question for you. When you were little, in grade school, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay, so I wanted to be, as a child, a doctor, and probably like an actress, which some people probably think that I still am. But I wanted to be a doctor. I had the lovely opportunity to work for a doctor's office while in high school. Dr. O'Neill is, I worked for Dr. O'Neill and a Palos resident. And there was a flu season one time, and I just realized that wasn't going to be my
Couldn't
field.
do it.
I have the utmost respect for all medical traders, especially with my time at Lori, first responders as well. But the medical field was great. Over time, I've seen a lot of my friends in their jobs, and you always kind of wish you look and say, "Oh, maybe I would have done well there." I always wanted to be a high school history teacher. I loved history. I loved it. Being in DC and just learn. I think you need to understand the past to understand what's going on right now. You got to know it. In today's world at any time. And I would have loved to do that, but there's so many great professions. Honestly, I find so many, you just got to find joy in what you do.
I'm still working the image of little Shannon Harvey, or Shannon Dunn.
Yeah.
Dr. Dunn.
Oh yeah, right?
How about, you're invited to speak at a career day at a high school. What advice would you give, high school students, young people thinking about a career in law, and maybe even working in city government?
Sure. Well, if I went back to Mother McCauley where I went, where they're, beyond impressed with the girls there today, and I have gone back, but I think what I'd say to them is really just find what you want to do. If you're going to go in the law field, there's lots of different avenues to take. Most people do think of the courtroom experience, but really I have a lot of friends that do wonderful things, whether it be advocates, for the elderly, working in the medical field. There's different avenues, so don't get tied down to one. But my biggest thing is at McCauley, they really ingrained in us, to be service to others. It was something anyone that graduated, and I'm sure this is all the schools around here, but we took after Captain McCauley and the service to others. So I think the biggest thing I would say is do what you can with what you can. And that's going to be different for everyone, whether it be like time and volunteering, or, some people have the ability to write a check to help out. Some people can make contacts. Some people put their heart into their job. But it's about what you can do to make your life fulfilled in helping others. I think that's important.
It's a beautiful message idea, and it sounds like Mother McCauley did a great job of fostering that mindset.
Absolutely.
How about, what's the most challenging part of your job, whether a city clerk or a lawyer? What would you say?
Well, I just think, making sure you make all the deadlines. I live in a deadline career, both in city council and in my legal job. Making the deadlines and doing the right job. You don't want to rush through stuff.
Right.
You want to get it right. Sleeping's really good for you, and I recommend it. But when you have the ability, I look at this as a gift. The flexibility that's been given in my life to be able to do all of this as a gift, and so you find the time. So if you need, to put a couple hours in on the weekend, you do that.
Right. Sounds like you're talking about managing your time and your day is a huge, important skill there. How about for you to recharge? And you just talked, it kind of raised my stress level trying to, juggle all these things going on, all the work responsibilities, managing your time. When you need to recharge, whether vacation or some other activity, what do you do or where do you go?
Well, I look at anything I can do with my daughter as a recharge moment, because I find it so enjoyable.
You have a recharge moment coming up then?
Well, I do love to travel. I think it's wonderful, and it's something I wish a lot for Tess. And so if I can travel, I will. I think the older I've gotten, I've been able to have more time to do that. And it's something, we're pushing for her, and we are going back to the motherland, to Ireland, shortly, driven by her and dancing with she's an Irish dancer, so we're going to be dancing in Ireland with 11 Cassidy Irish dancers, a bunch of Palos family, Palos school, and so her best friend Claire is Demicky, who her dad's here, the treasurer. They're going to be dancing together over in Ireland. And so I think those are the moments. I had a boss that once told me, no matter what you do, you need to take 1 or 2 vacations or 1 or 2 breaks a week. You have to for, your health and for your mental being. And she was a great mentor, Jennifer Johnson. And it's something I've kept in my life.
Critical, managing time, managing your mental health, your emotional well-being, the break, the step away every now and then, right? Ireland sounds like a great step away.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be great.
All right, how about this? We're going to assume that you have your dream job, right? As a city clerk, lawyer, this is the perfect universe for you. But if there were the other dream job out there, what would it be?
Oh, it's so hard. As I was saying before, I see so many friends. Being here today, I'm sitting here being like, maybe being in a studio would have been fun. I don't think I have the face for the camera to do it, but meeting new people. I always say that I love being a lawyer. I wish I could win the lottery. I wish I could just be a 100% philanthropist and go out and write checks for all the causes that are needed. And you know what? Some people have been able, are able to do that. Like I said, being a high school teacher would be amazing too. There's something about getting everyone ready for college that would be great. But there's so many great careers, so many friends that are in different careers that are helping people. And everyone can find it in their career a way to help. And so it's hard. I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be, though. I'm doing my law and all this extra fun stuff that I really enjoy doing.
Well, we're for sure glad you're here. How about, and maybe that, you've kind of segued into it really nicely. The last question I was going to ask you is, what do you like best about your job as city clerk, maybe? And you can say lawyer, too, if you want.
No, city clerk. I grew up here. I went here. I always tell people I have this greater appreciation as an adult, which just probably is a natural thing, but I just really love this town. I think you see, one of the greatest facts I learned in the last year is the enrollment in our schools have just gone up so much in the last 10 years. And I think that speaks volumes. You have people wanting to come here, families wanting to raise their kids here. We have all these great restaurants. all these-
Generations coming back.
generations coming back. I mean, there's I think 15 to 20 students at my daughter's school who have parents as alum. Everyone coming back, but I mean, there's just so much. There's something to do for everything. We have the theaters, the theater programs. We have so many great schools. I mean, between 118, 128, Chicago Christian, St. Alexander's, Trinity, which I would love
sad.
to.
It is
Yeah,
sad.
heartbreaking. But we have, so many different faith communities here. I mean, beyond so many different faith
For a
communities.
town relatively small, right? As a city,
Right,
yeah.
right. Some of, you see what Shepherd's doing and building on and being so, bringing in High Five to Heights and choosing Palos Heights as their home. It's just great. I mean, our sports organizations, we have all the PBO and the Power for the Girls softball. It's just a great place. I think I talk about it with my neighbors all the time. Like when our kids are our age, I think they're going to look back at it and be like, "Wow, that was a fun childhood."
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. I mean, I am over. My sister's over in Oak Hills. I go over to Oak Hills in the summertime. The pool. There's just so many people coming and going. You got pickleball courts there. It's just a great place to live. Can
You've
you tell I
landed.
love it?
You've landed.
I have.
Well, that's wonderful. Shannon, thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for your role as city clerk. We very much appreciate the work and the job
Thank you
you're doing
guys.
here.
I love being here.
All right.
Thanks so much.
I'm Dave Worsley. You've been watching PHTV4. This is Behind the Scenes. We've been talking with City Clerk Shannon Harvey. Thank you for watching.